All right, let me just start by saying I never thought I'd be writing this. Yet here I am, questioning my life choices and trying to figure out why my girlfriend has developed this, let's call it an enthusiasm for trying to put her finger in my ass whenever we're getting busy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for trying new things in the bedroom. Variety is the spice of life, right? But this particular activity, yeah, I didn't see it coming. Literally. The first time it happened, we were in the middle of things, everything was going great, and then bam, there it was. That sudden, exploratory touch. I jumped like I had been hit with a bolt of lightning. We're talking a full-body reaction here. I didn't even know I could move that fast. I turned to her with wide eyes, and she just gave me this cheeky grin. You know the kind that says, "Oh, you're gonna like this." But here's the thing. I didn't know if I was gonna like it. In fact, I wasn't sure I was ready for that level of experimentation. So I did what any confused, slightly panicked guy would do. I deflected. We laughed it off, moved on, and I thought, okay, that was a one-time thing. We're cool. Oh, how wrong I was. Fast forward to our next intimate encounter. Everything was smooth sailing again until, surprise, there was that same familiar attempt at a sneak attack. This time, I managed to dodge it, but not without another awkward laugh and an internal dialogue that sounded something like, is this going to be a thing now? It wasn't just a thing, it was a mission. I'm talking determination, like I've never seen before. Over the next few weeks, my girlfriend made it her personal goal to introduce me to this new realm of intimacy, and every time we were in the moment, I could feel her gearing up for the attempt. She was like an athlete training for the Olympics, except the event was apparently anal exploration. Now, here's where it gets tricky. I didn't want to kill the vibe. We were having great sex, and I was enjoying myself until I wasn't. It was like I had this internal radar, constantly scanning for that finger making its move. I swear, I developed a sixth sense, like Spidey senses, but specifically for my backside. Could I just ask her to stop? Sure, but was I curious? Also, yes. So here's the thing. As this kept happening, I couldn't help but wonder why she was so obsessed with trying this particular move. Was there some secret benefit I didn't know about? Was it something she read in a magazine or saw in a movie? I had to get to the bottom of it. No pun intended. One night, after yet another attempted finger invasion, I finally asked her, "Babe," I said, trying to sound casual, "what's with the finger thing? Like, are you trying to tell me something?" I expected her to laugh, maybe brush it off. But nope. She got all serious and said, "I just think you'd like it. It's supposed to feel amazing if you're open to it." Now, this was news to me. I mean, I've heard of people enjoying that kind of thing, but I guess I never considered myself part of that group. Still, her sincerity made me pause. Was I being a prude? Was I missing out on something life-changing? And so, a dilemma was born. Do I give in and see what the fuss is about, or keep dodging her like I'm in a high-stakes game of tag? By this point, I was genuinely torn. On one hand, I wanted to be open to new experiences. On the other hand, I wasn't sure if this was the experience I wanted to dive into. I mean, can you blame me? It's not exactly something they teach you about in health class. But I could tell this meant something to her. She wasn't just messing around. Well, technically she was, but you know what I mean. So, after a lot of mental debate, I decided to give it a shot. I figured, worst case scenario, I could just politely decline mid-act if things got too weird. Best case scenario, well, who knows? So, did I survive this new adventure? Let's just say, things didn't go exactly as planned. The moment of truth finally arrived. I had psyched myself up, prepared for what was coming. I was ready, or at least as ready as you can be for something like this. As we started getting into things, my heart was racing, not from excitement, but from pure anticipation and maybe a little fear. And then it happened. Her finger made its move. Let me tell you, it was not the life-altering experience she promised. In fact, it was the exact opposite. I don't know if it was the anticipation, the nerves, or just the sheer awkwardness of the whole situation, but I couldn't relax enough to even enjoy the moment. Instead of some magical new sensation, all I could think was, nope, nope, nope. Abort mission. I gently but firmly redirected her hand and, once again, we laughed it off. I'm pretty sure I'll never live that moment down, but at least we could both agree that maybe it just wasn't for me. But did that stop her from trying again in the future? Of course not. So, what did I learn from all this? Well, for starters, I learned that my girlfriend has a playful and slightly mischievous side when it comes to the bedroom. But more importantly, I learned that it's okay to set boundaries, even when it comes to someone you love. While I appreciate her desire to spice things up, I also had to be honest with myself and with her about what I was comfortable with. In the end, we laughed about it, and it brought us closer in a weird way. And who knows, maybe one day I'll reconsider and give her another chance to explore. But for now, I think I'll keep my backside firmly off limits. But hey, at least now I know. When she gives me that cheeky grin, it's not just because she's in the mood, it's because she's plotting her next move. After our little trial run, I honestly thought the matter was settled. We had laughed about it and moved on, and I figured that was the end of the whole finger in the butt saga. But, oh no, my girlfriend wasn't ready to give up just yet. In fact, I think my hesitant attempt just fueled her curiosity even more. I started noticing a pattern. Every time we'd get into bed, there'd be this pause, this moment where I could practically see the wheels turning in her head. It's like she was planning her next move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And sure enough, whenever I least expected it, there it was. That sneaky hand would make its move, inching closer to the danger zone. At this point, I felt like I was living in a comedy sketch. You know those scenes where someone is trying to avoid something and they're constantly dodging, ducking, and weaving? That was me. Except instead of avoiding pies to the face, I was avoiding fingers in my ass. It became a game of who could outmaneuver the other, her determination versus my reflexes. After several more close calls, I realized we needed to have a serious conversation. This was clearly something she was very interested in exploring, and I couldn't keep playing defense forever. So, one night, after another failed attempt on her part, I decided to approach the subject head-on or, rear-on. "Babe," I said, as we lay in bed post another awkward encounter, "we need to talk about this whole finger thing." She laughed, probably thinking I was just going to brush it off again, but I was serious. "Look, I get that you're really into this idea, but I'm just not sure I'm on board with it." Her smile faded a little, and for a second I felt bad. I didn't want to shut down her desires, but at the same time, I needed to be honest about my boundaries. To my surprise, though, she was super understanding. "I just thought you might enjoy it," she said, shrugging. "But if you're really not comfortable, we don't have to." Now, here's where things got tricky. Part of me wanted to be that guy who's totally open to everything, who's down for whatever in the name of exploration and keeping things spicy. But another part of me, the part that panics at the mere thought of what she was proposing, was like, absolutely not. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. So, I made a compromise. Maybe we can try some other stuff, like ease into things, I suggested, hoping to strike a balance between being adventurous and preserving my personal space. She agreed, and we made a pact. No more surprise finger attacks, and in return, we'd explore other ways to keep things exciting. It was a win-win situation, or so I thought. Little did I know, this was only the beginning of a whole new adventure. Now, here's the thing about compromising in a relationship. It's great in theory, but in practice, it can get complicated. While we did manage to find some common ground, my girlfriend still had her, let's call them, ambitions. And while she promised to lay off the whole finger situation, I could tell she wasn't completely giving up. We tried a few new things, and for the most part, they were fun. But every once in a while, I'd catch that familiar look in her eyes, the one that said, "You know what I really want to try?" It became like a running joke between us. Every time she gave me that cheeky grin, I knew what she was thinking, and I just shake my head with a smile. To be fair, the whole situation had brought us closer in a weird way. We learned to laugh about it, and it opened up a lot of conversations about our boundaries, desires, and things we were curious about. If nothing else, it taught me the importance of communication in the bedroom. Because let's face it, sex can be awkward sometimes, and talking about it openly, even when it's uncomfortable, makes everything a lot easier. But just when I thought I had everything under control, she found a new way to keep me on my toes. A few weeks after our compromise, I noticed something different. She started mentioning things in passing. Articles she'd read, things she'd seen online, new toys that could enhance our experience. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, toys are fun, right? No harm there. But then it hit me. She was gearing up for another round of negotiation. One night, she casually brought out a small box. "I thought we could try something new," she said, her voice all innocent-like, but her eyes giving away her true intentions. I eyed the box suspiciously. "What's in there?" I asked, even though I was pretty sure I already knew the answer. She opened the box to reveal a small, harmless-looking toy. "It's just for fun," she said, her tone light and reassuring. But I knew better by now. This was her way of easing me into something, and I wasn't sure if I was ready. To my surprise, though, it wasn't as bad as I thought. The toy was actually kind of fun, and it didn't come with the same level of panic that the whole finger situation had. We tried it out, and I have to admit, it wasn't the worst experience I've ever had. In fact, I kind of liked it. But, of course, this only made her more determined to push the boundaries even further. Over time, I realized that my girlfriend's persistence wasn't just about this one thing. It was about exploring our relationship, our intimacy, and figuring out what worked for both of us. And while I wasn't always on board with every idea she had, I appreciated her willingness to try new things and keep things exciting. Eventually, I came to terms with the fact that this was just part of who she was, someone who likes to push boundaries and see where the adventure takes us. And honestly, I respected that. I still had my limits, but I also learned that being open to new experiences doesn't mean you have to lose control. It's about finding that balance between what you're comfortable with and what excites you. So, did I ever let her fully explore her original goal? Well, let's just say we're still negotiating. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the way this whole experience brought us closer together, taught us how to communicate, and gave us a lot of laughs along the way. And who knows, maybe one day I'll give her that cheeky grin, and she'll know it's finally game on. Let me tell you, after our little experiment with toys, I thought things would calm down. I mean, we had reached a good balance. She got to explore a bit, and I managed to keep my dignity and my backside intact. But apparently, I had underestimated my girlfriend's persistence. One night, after a particularly enthusiastic round of bedroom activities, we were lying in bed, catching our breath. I was feeling good, relaxed, content, and for once, not on high alert for any sneaky moves. But that was my mistake, because as I was drifting off into that blissful post-sex haze, she casually rolled over, gave me a playful look, and said, "You know, we could always try it again." I snapped back to full consciousness, so fast I probably set a new record. "Wait, what?" I blurted out, my heart rate suddenly spiking. I couldn't believe it. After all the discussions, the compromises, the toys, she was still holding on to this idea. She laughed at my reaction. "Come on, it's just a little fun. You might actually enjoy it if you relax." Now, I don't know about you, but the words relax and finger in the ass do not belong in the same sentence for me. But at this point, I was starting to see the humor in the whole situation. It had become a running joke between us, and I had to admit, she was persistent in a way that was almost admirable. Still, I wasn't ready to wave the white flag just yet. As this little saga continued to unfold, I found myself needing a second opinion. So, naturally, I did what any guy would do. I talked to my best friend about it. Now, before you judge me for oversharing, let me just say this. When you're in a situation this bizarre, sometimes you need an outside perspective. So, one night over beers, I brought it up. "Dude, can I ask you something weird?" I said, knowing full well this was about to get awkward. He raised an eyebrow. "Sure, man. What's up?" I hesitated for a second, then just went for it. "Why do you think my girlfriend is so obsessed with, trying to stick her finger in my ass?" There was a moment of silence as he processed what I just said. Then he burst out laughing. I mean, full-on, can't-breathe kind of laughing. I sat there, waiting for him to recover, wondering if I had made a huge mistake by bringing this up. Finally, he caught his breath and said, "Wait, she's really trying that? And you've been dodging her this whole time?" "Yeah," I replied, feeling slightly embarrassed now. "She's really into it, and I don't know what to do. I don't want to shut her down, but it's just not my thing." He thought about it for a second, then shrugged. "Honestly, man, a lot of girls are into that. It's not that weird. Not that weird." I repeated, incredulous. "You mean to tell me this is a normal thing?" He nodded. "Yeah, totally. I've had a couple of girlfriends who were into it. It's, like, a thing." This was news to me. I mean, I had heard about people being into all sorts of stuff, but I guess I didn't realize this particular activity was so common. My friend, seeing my surprise, grinned and added, "Look, if you're not into it, that's cool. But maybe she just wants to explore and have fun. If you're not dead set against it, maybe give it a try. You might be surprised." Surprised? Yeah, right. But his words stuck with me. Was I missing out on something? After that conversation with my friend, I found myself thinking more and more about the whole situation. Maybe he had a point. Maybe I was overthinking it. My girlfriend wasn't trying to force me into anything. She just wanted to try something new, and she thought I'd enjoy it if I gave it a chance. So, after a lot of internal debate, I decided to do the unthinkable. I was going to give her free rein just this once to explore her curiosity, but only once. This was going to be a one-time deal, and I was mentally preparing myself for the experience. The night finally came, and I won't lie, I was nervous. My girlfriend, of course, was practically glowing with excitement when I told her I was willing to try. "Are you sure?" she asked, eyes sparkling. "Yeah, but just once," I said firmly, trying to sound more confident than I felt. We got started, and everything was going smoothly until the moment of truth arrived. I braced myself, mentally repeating the mantra, it's fine, it's just an experiment." And then it happened, and you know what? It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. In fact, it was kind of interesting. I wouldn't say it was a life-changing experience my girlfriend had been hyping it up to be, but it wasn't the traumatic event I had feared either. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say that by the end, I was laughing, partly out of relief, and partly because the whole thing was just so absurd. So, did I discover a new passion for butt stuff? Well, not exactly. After that fateful night, things changed between me and my girlfriend, not in a bad way, but in a way that brought us closer. I had finally given her the green light to explore something she'd been curious about for so long, and in return, I had gotten over my fear of the unknown, well, sort of. We laughed about it, joked about it, and it became one of those shared experiences that we could look back on with humor. And while I didn't suddenly become a fan of the finger, I did gain a new level of trust and openness with my girlfriend. We learned that we could push each other's boundaries within reason and still come out the other side with our relationship stronger. In the end, it wasn't really about the act itself. It was about communication, trust, and being willing to step outside our comfort zones for each other. And while I'm still keeping my backside off limits for the foreseeable future, at least I know I can handle anything she throws at me. Or, in this case, tries to put in me. So, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, just remember, sometimes it's okay to laugh, set boundaries, and maybe, just maybe, be open to a little exploration. Just don't forget to communicate.
Enjoyed the story? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss new content. Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think and what you'd like to see next. And if you want to keep watching more videos like this one, just click on the next video. See you there.